Over 10 million homes at risk of going into foreclosure. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, buckle up, strap in. We got a hard-hitting, pull no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows, no sunshine. Just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. We got a good one to unpackage today. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great. So here we go again. Let's jump on the real estate merry-go-round. Around and around we go as we examine the good, the bad, and maybe even a little bit of the ugly as we ring the bell and sound the alarm and raise awareness and let people know anytime the real estate market exhibits bubble behavior, it's going to come with what? You guessed it, crash risk. You get to ask yourself, I get to ask myself, everybody should be asking themselves, what percentage of likelihood will this real estate market be able to survive? And, you know, if you look at areas, I was just talking to this couple, I was out on a hike, and they're visiting from Austin, Texas, and they're like, oh my gosh, Austin is in horrible shape. I mean, these builders are liquidating homes. Home values are dropping like a rock. It was once and I asked them, I'm like, you guys were a pandemic boom town and had a lot of inward migration with remote workers. And now those times have come and gone. I feel so bad. You know, I always say, unless you've lived through a boom bust cycle as a bill-paying adult and suffered some of its blowback, it's not your fault. You didn't know. I was that guy in the '08 era. I didn't know. My parents had lived through recessions, but I hadn't, as a bill-paying adult, heard people talking about recession and downturn and real estate bubbles, but I didn't heed to the warnings. In fact, I did the best I could. I watched a house stuck on the market. I grabbed it after I went through several price reductions. Unfortunately, I caught the dreaded falling knife. It had a lot further to go, and I didn't check the one thing that now I always tell everybody to check. If you want to know the true value of a home, and that's what real estate agents, so they might admit to this, the true value of a home is what somebody's willing to pay for it. No, I'm here to tell you differently. Listen, real estate is the vehicle to wealth. 95% of millionaires made their money in real estate, but it wasn't by owning their house, other people's houses. So if you want to know the true value of your house, it's not what somebody necessarily is willing to pay for it. It's what somebody would be willing to rent it for. How would it do as a rental? Most people I sell to, that's the last thing out of their mouth. Hey, Scott, you know my property's rent range? That should be the first question out of their mouth. Why, you ask? Well, of course I'm going to tell you, because someday you might want to put a renter in there and buy another house and do that a handful of times. At the end of life, you own a handful of properties. Unfortunately, the world today wants to tell you, just pay, look rich now and be a debt slave forever. That's what the world tells us to do. Dumb. I had to learn the hard way, so I'm hoping I can help you not make the same mistake, or at least help your own kids or whoever you need to help. You have to be willing to sacrifice now, right off into the sunset later. I learned the hard way with real estate. I remember when I first got started in real estate, I was living in a condominium complex, and I'd see for rent signs pop up in the complex, and I'd call them. I'd call the sign, hey, I see you got a rental. I'm an agent live in the complex. I see you got a vacancy. Would you like me to get you a renter? I'll do it for half a month's rent. Industry standards, a full month's rent. I'll do it for half. What do you say? That's how I was willing to do anything. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved being a real estate professional. The guy that I learned from was a guy that had over $1 billion in personal sales. And if you don't know, that's a lot. That's like a high producer. He was like the hottest agent in town. And we're talking the $1 million district. Grinder, almost quit because of him. He was super smart. I was not. And he let me know that every chance he got, because I loved what I did. The office liked me more than him, and he didn't dig that. He rode me hard. I was just talking to another agent. He asked me, he goes, Scott, listen, I'm an agent, and I live in San Diego, and I watched my parents get raked over the coals in 2008, and I'm really worried right now about buying in this mess. And I said, I don't blame you. I'm going to help you today. I'm going to help you today. I'm going to help a lot of people today, I hope. But before I get to let you know, you don't get hurt when you buy at the wrong time. You get hurt when you sell at the wrong time. And over 10 million people could be forced to market. Why, you ask? Well, of course. I'm going to tell you. Well, I just actually did tell you. Because they bought at the top of the market. But the one thing that they didn't expect or plan for is a recession. And you see, anybody that bought at the top of the real estate bubble, no matter even if they got those low interest rates, the 3%ers, If they can't keep up with their payments, they only have one choice: to go to market. Unfortunately, if they bought at the top of the super bubble, they can't sell for what they paid for the place. So over 10 million people bought at the height of the super bubble. So their houses are now slowly but surely, one by one, going upside down. If and when they're forced to market, they're going to have to basically do a short sale or foreclosure. These are where the concentrations of foreclosures will, in fact, you want to know where foreclosures are going to be? It's going to be at anything that was built during the crisis. The brand new, the Lennars, the KB Homes. All the new big dog developers that built in this mess and pushed those homes out with these FOMO factory tour homes and then sold you the postage stamp lot in the back 40. It's something that didn't look anything like the home you toured. Those are going to be the foreclosure festivals. Because, I mean, if you buy into a neighborhood that had people that bought pre-pandemic, those are people that bought before the crisis, not at the top of the bubble. So these are all bubble buyer FOMO factory neighborhoods. They're going to be in big trouble if and when, like I said, I have no crystal ball. Can't guarantee it. I've just seen this movie before. Logic would tell us that, in fact, it's coming again. It's now which areas get hit first, which ones get hit last, which ones climb out, what's weather the storms. I always say your area might be recession insulated if you've got, I don't know, you didn't have a bunch of FOMO factories and people have owned there for a long time and your local economy is pretty strong. You might be recession insulated, but you're not recession proof. I live in the place, it's a destination area. It was recession insulated in the 08 era, but it wasn't recession proof. We took big haircuts in our real estate, 30, 40, 50%. It's come again. I predict it will. I would love to be wrong, but unfortunately what I'm seeing out of this market is much, much more severe than what I saw in 08. I mean, in 08, like we had, I don't know, the internet, but we didn't have the social media presence that we have now. Good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster. Herd mentality, contagion will spread very, very, very fast. That's why my job is to ring the bell, sound the alarm, read between the lines, and look between the cracks and raise awareness and let you know the waters you're swimming in. So if and when this plays out, you'll be able to navigate through it much more efficiently, not a deer in the headlights paralyzed by fear. Whew. If you halfway expect something, friends, you'll be able to navigate through it much more efficiently, and that's my job. And so with that being said, I got a call from an agent, San Diego, which is another, Southern California coastal community, not far from where I'm sitting today. And he's scared to death. He's like, Scott, I saw my parents just get ruined, raked over the coals in 08. And my wife really wants to buy. I really want to buy. In fact, we can buy. We've got great savings, great credit, no debt. We can do this. I said, great. You don't get hurt when you buy at the wrong time. You get hurt when you sell at the wrong time. So if we buy right, you'll be fine. You have to listen to me, though. This is critical because, first of all, as a trained salesman, I know once you make up your mind to buy, 99.9% of the time, you're buying. The sky can be falling. You will be buying. So it's my job as a real estate professional to protect you. And I don't want to say greedy, but for lack of a better choice of words, I am greedy in one sense. I not only want to sell you your first home, I want to sell you your second, your third, your fourth. I want to make you, the only way for me to get rich, make you rich. And I know the path to wealth is, in fact, at least one of them, the most popular, is real estate. And that window is closing. It's getting harder and harder to tame real estate, especially at the prices we're at now. And that's why I say it's not as important to own where you live. It's just important to own. Be willing to sacrifice now, right off into the sunset later. Be a renter, live in a cracker box and buy a few investment properties, and then later on, I remember for myself, all these friends, they're buying homes, and I was like, I'm a renter. I feel like a loser. I'm a renter, and then I bought investment property, cash flowing income properties. Now I can run my mouth on YouTube. I can forego a sale. I can put you on the sidelines. I can wait. I can do whatever I want because I have other income that pays my bill. I don't need to pressure you into a sale to keep my own roof over my head. That is freedom, my friends. Freedom. Whew. So I was talking to this agent, and here's the advice. This is, first of all, there's a couple things you need to know. Over 10 million people bought in the height of the super bubble. Those are the people at risk, right? That's for obvious reasons. But here's the second reason. The true value of your home isn't necessarily what somebody's willing to pay for it. It's what somebody's willing to rent it for. That's the true value of a house. And this is the one mistake I made when I bought in the 08 era. I had my housing budget, whatever, a third that I could spend on my primary home. I was already spending that on rent. So I'm like, well, what's that do for me in the mortgage market? What can I buy with the same amount of money per month, other than coming up with my down payment? And so I bought accordingly, but I didn't check the property's rent range. And I sell a lot of houses and buildings, commercial and residential. Mostly residential, though. I mean, that's what most of us are concerned with, right? And that's really where the money's at, in my opinion, because you're going to get way more sales than you will in commercial. But the reality is this. Had I checked to see what that property's rent range was, out of curiosity, Mr. Real Estate Agent, what is this place's rent range? Because I want my payment to be at or under it. So if anything ever happens to me, or I decide I want to turn it into income property, it can rent out and make its own payment. It can stand on its own 2 feet. You want to buy today? You want me to help you buy today? I can help you do that, and I can protect you. You can even buy in the super bubble and be just fine, as long as your payment is under the property's rent range. So whatever you need to put down on that property to make sure your monthly payment is within its rent range, preferably under, so a renter can go in, you'll hit the pillow at night knowing, honey, don't worry. If anything happens to your job, we can always put a renter in here, and the house can rent. They can make the payment for us, and we can jump into a cracker box rental until we get you a new job or whatever. That is true freedom. Most people don't. It's FOMO factory tour homes. They don't teach you that. They want you to walk in and just fall in love with staging, finishes, furnishings. That's what they're designed to do under a think tank. Then you get to the on-site salesperson, sign right here. We should have your house ready in 6 months. Although there's probably some houses now sitting, sucking air that are ready to rock and roll. But even then, they're not telling you what the property's rent range is. You need to check your property's rent range. And friends, this is the biggest reason. And I told this nice young agent in San Diego this before. I'm like, man, dude, I don't want to see you house poor, bro. You need to make sure your house can stand on its own 2 feet. If you've got to spend all your money to get into a house, and that's the thing, friend. Once you buy the house anyway, you don't own it. No matter what your payment is, it owns you. And it really owns you if you're on pins and needles. Because like, oh my God, I'm paying way over what the thing would rent for. That's what the 10 million people that bought in the crisis did, friends. They never checked their rent ranges. They don't have the luxury of doing that. All they did is they drank the Kool-Aid, bought into the narrative, the fear of missing out. It's a great time to buy. Interest rates are low. Real estate's red hot. And mainstream media didn't help. We were all talking about the red hot. Where's all these CEOs of Redfin and Zillow and Realtor.com? Where's all these guys now that used to always be invited on as a guest on these mainstream news programs talking about the markets? They're gone. They took the money and ran. In final thoughts, I come to you as a friend, as a content creator, as a real estate guy who wants to see you not only win in real estate, win in life. Understand the waters you're swimming in now. They're shark infested. Welcome to the swimming pool. Over 10 million people bought at the height of a super bubble, and they didn't check their property's rent range. You want to get rich in real estate? Don't be concerned about where you live. Be concerned about where other people live. Buy your first house. Do it second, third. I don't care which house you buy. But anytime you're buying a house, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or next year, always know its rent range. That's the true value of a house. And if you can make sure your payment's within its rent range, you're going to hit the pillow at night knowing that anything happens to you or your income, renter goes in, don't have to lose the house, suffer a foreclosure or short sale on your record. You will be able, in fact, you will poise yourself for success in real estate. You only need to do this a handful of times. You can do this in 10, 15 years and probably stack up a handful of rental properties. Buy it, live in it, put a renter in it, rinse and repeat. You do that a handful of times, then you're retiring early and you actually own a tangible asset. And that window will be closing as it's going to become harder and harder as leadership is going to try to take over as much of this as they can with policy and whatever they can. They want you to own nothing and be happy. Follow my recipe for success, and I guarantee you'll be protected every step of the way. Because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. If you appreciate the content, I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Social media links in the description of this video if you'd like to follow me there, along with links to channels I've appeared on I think you might enjoy. If you need help buying or selling real estate here in America, I have the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you. It'd be our honor and our privilege to do so. Email in the description for you as well. Simply reach out to ScottWaltersRealestate at Gmail. We'll find you there. Also, if you're watching from your television set today and you enjoyed this video, gonna love the next video, and there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count today. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.